Okay, let's check out the first line of today's article.
Okay.
It's going to get straight into it. It says, fishing boats enter the icy Bering Sea in search of king crabs every October. Now, the Bering Sea, for those of you who might not know your geography, is between Alaska in the US and Russia. Okay, so it kind of like there's a tiny little sea up there in between those two lands, and it's pretty cold.
Very cold. We're almost at the North Pole.
Exactly.
At that point. But if you're looking for crab, or if you are in search of king crab, that's the place to go.
That's right. So to be in search of something or in search of somebody is when you're looking for that thing or that person, and you'll find king crab in that place, hopefully at least. Here's an example sentence. Addison went in search of a flashlight when the power went off during the storm.
Basically, it means you're looking for something, and they're looking for king crab. We could also, of course, say more accurately, they're fishing for king crab,
Yes.
but you have to find the crab before you can catch the crab. And there are many dangers out there on the Bering Sea. It says it's one of the world's most dangerous jobs. Crews must endure long hours, rough seas, and stormy weather.
Doesn't sound great.
And I'm sure there's other dangers too, but those are some of the big ones. And yes, for the people who work on the boats, these are some of the things that they face day to day just as they do their job. And people who work on a boat, people whose job it is to make the boat work and to do all the different special jobs, we would call those people the crew. The crew are the people who work on a boat, from the captain right down to the most junior sailor. We can also often use this term to talk about the people on an airplane. If you've ever taken an airplane, about 20 minutes before you get on the plane, you might see the captain, the flight attendants, the people who serve the food and drinks on the plane. They all, get on a little bit before, because the crew need to make sure the airplane is ready to go, because it's their job to work on the plane or the boat. For example, we could say the captain told the ship's crew to prepare to set sail. And now, of course, remember, this is an uncountable noun. We talk about the crew or a member of the crew. So a big group of them wouldn't be the crews.
Right.
That might be different people on different boats, but a crew is a team. They work on one boat, and they endure difficult situations.
That's
and
right. So they have to endure a lot of things. Now, this verb, endure, means to be in a difficult or painful situation for a long period, often without complaining about it. You might complain a little bit, but you usually are doing this for a reason.
And you don't quit.
There's a specific purpose you are doing this thing. Maybe you're getting paid a lot of money to do this thing, or some other benefit. So you're going to keep doing it and keep doing it even though it's difficult.
Absolutely. Not easy. And another word we had there was rough. This adjective was used to describe the sea or the ocean, the water in the Bering Sea. When something is rough, well, the opposite would be smooth. If it's smooth, it's very easy, it's very gentle. We can talk about skin being very smooth, like a baby's skin is very smooth because it's so young and soft. But if it's rough, well, maybe my face after I don't shave can be a little bit rough. We can also talk about stones being rough, or if you fall off your bike and scrape your leg, you'll get a cut because the street, the sidewalk, that's rough. Now, when we talk about ocean water or water being rough, that means there's just a lot of waves, okay? There's a lot of wind that day. If you're out in a boat on a rough sea, you might feel sick to your stomach because your boat and your body are moving in all these ways. And yes, the Bering Sea, the North Atlantic, or the sea during a storm or a typhoon, we would describe that as a rough sea. It's dangerous to be out on a rough sea. You can also talk about a ride. If you're on a rough sea, you'll have a rough ride, like in our example sentence. We had a rough ride when our plane flew through a storm and we were going up and down and people got a little sick. So cold temperatures, rough seas, it's a dangerous job. Why? Why are they doing this?
Well, of course, we did see that they're enduring it, so
Yeah.
let's find out. Here it says, however, king crab is a valuable prize, and some men think the risk is worth taking. If you've ever seen one of those king crabs, they are gigantic.
That's
so,
right.
Yeah.
And at a restaurant in New York or LA or something,
pay a lot of money.
$30, $40, $50. So
Right.
it's very worth, they make a lot of money. That's why they take the risks.
Exactly. So here, a risk is an action or an event that might have bad results. Now, these men on the ships know that they're putting themselves in danger and that bad things might happen or probably will happen while trying to catch the crabs, but they do it anyway. They take that risk. Here's an example sentence. The doctor told Luke about the surgery's risks before he agreed to have it. You always want to know what might go wrong when you go into the hospital.
That's right. Risks are like dangers. We can also use risk as a verb. To put something in danger is to risk that thing. If you ride a bike without a helmet, you're risking your health if you fall off, or if you're a person who likes to gamble and bet money. When you put that money on the table, you are risking that money. You're putting it in a dangerous situation. But for people who like to gamble, or for people who like to make money fishing, it's worth it. This adjective worth basically means something is important enough to do. Even though it's difficult, even though there might be risk, there might be danger, it's worth it. So you're going to be putting yourself in some danger, making your life a little bit difficult or uncomfortable. Why are you doing it? Well, because something good will happen at the end. Hopefully, if I succeed, something good will happen. It will be worth it. All right. For example, we could say smoking is a habit not worth having. All right. The dangers of smoking do not make smoking seem like a good idea. It's not worth it. You could risk your health.
That's right. Well, let's find out why we are talking about these fishermen on this boat. It says here, Discovery Channel's Deadliest Catch, Season 14, it's been around for a while, shows us what working on these boats is like. Now, we're going to talk about one of the adjectives in the name of that TV show. It is deadly, or we said deadliest. That's how you use it in the superlative form to say the most deadly. We say deadliest. Here, the adjective deadly describes something that is likely to cause death or so dangerous that it could cause you to die. So that's what it's like being on these boats. It's dangerous that there's a good chance you might die.
There you go. As the show begins, it says the crews remember 6 fishermen who died during the last fishing season.
That's a lot more than people who die in my place of work.
Yeah, not that many police would die in the country in one year, but fishermen, and there aren't many in these crews. Remember, I said if you're talking about one group, that's a crew, but if you're talking about different boats, then yes, you would have different crews on each boat. So these members of the fishing group or the fishing community, they're thinking about the people who died. And what did it say? Six people died in the last season. So basically last year, 6 people on different boats, not all on the same boat, but on different boats. One guy might have fallen out of the boat or been hit by something or just gotten sick on the boat and they couldn't get him to a hospital soon enough. That gives you an idea of how dangerous this job is.
Exactly. Okay, well, let's continue on. What do they do after this sort of moment of silence or moment of remembrance? It says, then the captains finish preparing for crab fishing.
Back to the job.
I'm going to find out who these captains are right now. Okay, so we are talking about the noun captain we saw in that sentence. A captain is the person who is in charge of a ship or a boat, or we could even use it to describe the pilot in charge of an airplane. The captain flies the plane, the captain is in charge of the boat. Here's an example sentence. The captain ordered the sailors to help people get in the lifeboats as the ship started to sink. All right, so captains have some bad news.
Yes.
What is it?
Things that were difficult are now more difficult. Remember, Alaska, Russia, Bering Sea. The North Pole is not too far away, so it's cold. And we're learning that it's actually colder this year. Global warming, temperature, climate change. It says this year the water temperature is 4 degrees lower than last year. So the water is even colder than it normally is. Of course, if you fall into the water, you probably could live for a minute or two.
I would say about a minute.
A minute or two, and then you'd really be in big trouble.
Yeah.
But even just working out there, imagine all that cold water splashing all over you as you do your job. It's really cold. It's 4 degrees lower than last year. A degree, this noun is basically a unit of temperature measurement. We often talk about degrees C, Celsius, or in America they talk about degrees F, Fahrenheit, all right? So it's just a way of measuring water temperature. 0 degrees means the water freezes, 0 degrees Celsius. 100 degrees Celsius means your water will boil, all right? So that's what a degree is. For example, it says you should bring a sweater because the temperature will go down by 10 degrees tonight. So
that's a big drop.
Yeah, if it was 20 during the day, it'll be 10 in the evening, and you will feel cold. The water there is probably around, what, 2 or 3 degrees?
Yeah, I would say probably not much warmer than that. It can't freeze, so it's got to be a bit warmer than that, but not by much.
But imagine the coldest shower you've ever taken.
And then times it by 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, the water changing temperature means that the animals or the creatures that live in it are probably going to go find the temperature of water that they're used to,
they
right?
They can't put on a sweater.
Exactly. So here it says in the article, the crabs must have moved, but nobody knows where they are. Now, we did see a grammar pattern in this sentence, and that is the subject used with must, may, or can. Then we add the auxiliary verb have and the past participle. So let's kind of work this out. When we use the auxiliary verbs must, may, and could with have and the past participle, we are talking about something that we think happened in the past, though we don't know for sure that it happened. Now, we said the crabs must have moved. So we know that the crabs aren't in the same spot now, so we can say with some amount of certainty that they moved, though of course you didn't see it happen, so you're not 100% sure. Here's another example sentence. I don't see your friend. She could have left the party already. Now, since you can't see your friend, it's possible that she left the party. However, this is just a suggestion of something she could do, not for sure what she did. Just because you don't see her doesn't mean she's not there. Here's another one. My little brother may have eaten the last piece of pie. We know someone ate the last piece of pie. It may have been my brother, but it may have been someone else, so you don't know for sure.
It was me.
Okay.
I love pie. Anyways, so yes, we don't know where the crab are, but this is our best guess. They didn't fly away. They're not on holiday in Hawaii, so they must have moved, right? And this is where the knowledge of the captains and the crew really becomes important. It says Sig, an experienced captain, that's his name, Sig. It says an experienced captain decides to drop his pots in several different places. So he's experienced, he's been fishing for many years. He probably knows a little bit how crabs behave, what they do. So he drops his pots. These are these traps that they use. They're not pots, they're actually kind of like boxes with a cage.
Huge box cages.
Yeah, so sometimes they are called lobster pots or lobster cages or lobster traps, and they drop them and they leave them, and the crab will go in, and then they pull them up, and that's how they catch them.
All right, well, let's continue on in the article here. It says, meanwhile, Jake, a new captain, can't decide where to fish. So we're seeing kind of go back and forth here. We've got Sig, who's been doing this for a while. He knows exactly what he's going to do, but Jake's new to this.
That's right.
Maybe he's been a fisherman for a while, but he's not sure how to make these important decisions.
Exactly, and it says it's an important choice. Imagine you're playing one of those claw games with the machine. You got to, pick it up, but you can't see where the toys are, and you got to kind of use your experience to put it in one spot. And if it doesn't work, you've wasted a lot of time and money.
That's right.
So this is a very high pressure, difficult job.
Right.
And tell us about this new captain.
All right, well, he is another reason that this is such an important choice. It says he has just spent $750,000 US on improving his boat and is swimming in debt. Now, he's not swimming in that water.
Not yet.
He's swimming in debt. Let's stop here to find out what that means.